This is one of my favorite quotes, and it's from a movie called The Theory of Everything. And in this movie, it's said by the character of Stephen Hawking. Now, obviously, this quote has nothing to do with fitness, but I love it and I think about it all the time when I am training for an ultra marathon, or when I am building a business, or when I have some sort of goal that I want to achieve. This quote goes, "Don't fear failure. Be afraid of being in the same place next year as you are today." So let me unpack that for you. The biggest problem that we have in our society today is that we fear failure. We are so afraid of failing or looking like we've failed or letting people down that we end up not doing anything at all. I can tell you that everyone who's ever accomplished something great, whether it's in business or relationships or fitness or anything that you can think of, they did not get there by never failing. They got there by failing forward. Failing forward means failing fast and then learning from that failure and then using that failure to propel you further and ultimately achieve success. So what does it mean to be afraid of being in the same place next year as you are today? If you're someone who wants to lose weight, if you're someone who wants to build muscle, wants to run a marathon, wants to start a business, wants to get really good at guitar or whatever it is, if you're afraid of being in the same place next year as you are today, that means that you're going to be willing to put in the work, put in the hours, make the sacrifices necessary to get yourself to where you want to go. There are two types of people in this world: those who are willing to fail forward and those who are not. Those who are not will be the ones who are afraid of being in the same place next year as they are today. And so, therefore, they don't take any action. The problem with those people is that they will eventually get to a point where they realize that they've wasted so much time. They've wasted so many opportunities, and they end up regretting it. Versus the person who says, you know what, I'm gonna try and I might fail. I might look like an idiot. I might feel bad about myself, but I would rather do that than be in the same place next year as I am today. That person is willing to put in the work. They're willing to make the sacrifice. They're willing to do whatever it takes to get themselves to where they want to go. Here's the thing. The universe, the world, reality, call it what you want. It doesn't care whether or not you succeed. In fact, it doesn't even care if you fail. All the universe cares about is that you take action. That's it. The more action you take, the more likely you are to succeed. But here's the beautiful part. The more action you take, the more likely you are to succeed. But also, even if you don't succeed, you're still taking steps in the right direction, which ultimately means you're closer to succeeding next time. When I was running my first marathon, I had this idea that I was going to go out and I was going to crush it. I was going to run 26.2 miles, and it was going to be no problem. I trained for months for this marathon, and I thought I was ready. Well, I got to mile 18, and I almost passed out. I had never felt pain like this before. I ended up walking for a couple miles, puking my guts out on the side of the road. I don't even remember how I finished that marathon. But here's what I do remember. Even though I didn't crush it on my first try, I learned a lot about myself. I learned about what I needed to do differently the next time around. I took all that experience, and the next time I ran a marathon, I did even better. I ran a Boston Marathon, and because of that first marathon where I failed forward, I was able to learn and grow and get better. So what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of failing at? And are you afraid of being in the same place next year as you are today? Because if you're afraid of that, then it means that you're going to be willing to take action. You're going to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. And you're going to do the things that most people aren't willing to do, which means that you'll ultimately be successful. If you're willing to fail forward, I promise you, anything that you want, anything that you desire, you can have it. You can achieve it. It just requires you to be willing to fail forward and not being afraid of being in the same place next year as you are today.